Hi, everyone. This is Jennifer.
And this is Carol. We're just two best friends sharing our personal lives with you.
And we hope to make you laugh and smile. Welcome to
Yay!
the Laugh Lounge.
It's our first episode.
Oh, I can't believe we're finally doing it.
I know. It's going to be fun. We're just doing this really just for fun, share some stories and get other people's stories too, though, and have other friends on the podcast. So
Right.
it's really just for fun. I know it's what everybody says when they first start a podcast, but we really do mean it.
We really do mean it. If it stops being fun, I'm just let everybody know right now. I ain't doing it. I don't need no more stress. I'm too old.
Exactly.
Look at these wrinkles.
I don't have any right now. I need to get some more Botox though. It's going to wear off. Okay.
So as long as it stays fun, you'll see me here.
Same here. And also, this is something fun to do and to see each other and talk to each other more. So, because I know we get caught up in our own lives. But So, Jennifer, why did we start this podcast? How did we even get on the topic of starting one?
It was your idea. Let's just
Was
tell
it?
it like
Are
it
you
is.
sure? I thought it was your idea.
I thought it was your idea.
I think it was your idea. No, I think you said that.
I did?
Yeah. I think we were talking one day and you're like, we should do a podcast together. I swear I think it was you.
Joking. I don't know. I feel like it was you. Well, we'll just go with that. It was me. I got us into this mess.
Because I was like, I don't even know how to do it. Because we're doing it
like... I had no clue.
Yeah. We're doing it all on our own. No help from anyone. So I was like, I don't know what the heck to do. What do I need to buy? So thank God, we found Riverside. So
right.
They're awesome.
YouTube videos that you
oh my God.
We watch YouTube videos, and Carol's like the executive producer, just so everybody knows, because I am not savvy like that. Not my strength. And she's doing all of that.
They're probably like, that's why it looks so crappy. I'm just starting. I'm just figuring it out. I have a lot of time on my hands, though. I have time on my hands to kill. I have nothing to do when I'm at work but sit there. So, got time to kill. I know you're a busy girl, though.
So you've been doing a lot of the work, and I appreciate you. I want to just
been living life.
Shout out to Carol. She's been holding it down, y'all.
Holding it down. So, me and Jennifer, we've been friends for about 5 years? Over 5 years? 5 years or going over 5 years? I can't remember. Met in 2019, October 2019. Yeah, we both met. Yeah. We both were going to flight attendant training. And what made you decide to be a flight attendant?
I had always wanted to be a flight attendant. And it was just a gap in my employment at the time and my life situation. My dad had, he has Alzheimer's, and I was helping take care of him. And then we had just transitioned him over to, full-time care at a veteran's home. So it was like, I finally had the door open to where I could do something like this, because my son was then like 15 at the time. So he was old enough to where I could leave. So I decided, you know what? I always wanted to do this, and I just applied.
That's awesome. I
saw one of my friends on Facebook. She had gotten a job at the airline that we worked for. Oh. And I'm like, how did you do it? Because I was going to pay for some schooling, like flight attendant school. They were going to charge all this money. She's like, no, don't do that. Just go on here and apply. And so that's how I found out about the airline that we worked for. And I just applied through them.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, how did I find out? I don't know. I was just applying. I was sitting down thinking, what am I going to do now? I'm not grooming dogs anymore. My hands don't work like they used to. So I got a condition, and we'll get into that later. But so I was like, basically like, what am I going to do? My brother, Ken, he makes fun of me. He's like, Carol, you're like Barbie. You've had like every career you can imagine. I'm like, you're right. I have. Lord. I really have been a photographer for years. I worked in a Eastern State Hospital mental facility. I was a mental health associate there. What else did I do? Oh my God. Groomer, flight attendant. I'm back working at the airport again. But I mean, I've done so many things. It's crazy. But
Mom
um,
of two.
mother
You're a
too,
mom.
a wife
That's
too.
the hardest job. And a wife, yeah.
So I was like,
Those are some good
what?
roles too.
Well, Jeremy always had to like be the breadwinner. He had to do the career. I was more stay at home mother. So I would just work
Yeah.
where I could, to make it work around his schedule. Because not only did he have a career going, he was also a full time student for a while. He was working full time student, had a family, never ever ever dropped the ball. He stayed right on top of everything all the time. So basically, I just kind of stayed home, take care of the kids. I enjoyed it and just kind of worked different jobs. I think that's how I ended up with so many different jobs. But what I really wanted to do was be a veterinarian when I was little. Well, all my life, but I couldn't do that
I
because there
didn't
was no
know
school
that.
close by. Yeah. Oh, always. Oh my God. Yeah. I love animals. So that was really my dream career, but I couldn't do it. There was no vet school nearby, nothing like that, So I try to work with animals though at an animal shelter and things like that to be near them. But so after my last career, well, not my last, but the flight attendant, the one before the flight attendant, one of my multiple careers, I was a dog groomer. Loved it. Oh my God, because I love animals, love dogs, and I was good at it. So I had to stop doing that. And I was like, what am I going to do next? I'm like, well, I always wanted to be a flight attendant because my mother always wanted to be one. She
So did
actually,
mine.
yeah, oh, it's awesome. I love it. Well, she actually got accepted, but she had a family and it didn't work for her. So I was like, you know what? I can do that. I don't have to use my hands a lot other than like do the safety video, the go this way, that way,
Yeah.
Um,
Exits are here.
exactly. Here. And you put the mask over like this and like this.
Do yours first.
Exactly.
And here's
But
how you buckle the seatbelt.
yeah. I always felt so weird doing that in front of people and people filming you. Do you ever have anybody pull out a camera filming you while you were doing like the safety stuff?
I wasn't paying close enough attention to know, girl.
I
I
did. I
don't
was
know.
like,
They probably
I was like,
did.
that's weird. I was like, that's so weird. Okay. But anyway, so I applied to be a flight attendant because I was thinking about my mom and I always wanted to do it too. I was like, my kids are grown, like I can actually go, because now, with them being grown, I can actually try to do something maybe I've always wanted to do. And this was one of the things I always thought, hey, let's give it a shot. So I can't remember how I found out about it. I probably just Googled, and I do remember, I probably just Googled. Yeah, that's probably what I did. And I applied for different ones. And actually, at the same time, right before I got, the interview with the airlines, I got a job at the airport that I'm at now. They wanted me to come work for them. But then, like the next day, I got this job interview and I called them. I was like, because I didn't realize how many steps you got to go through. So I had to call the airport and say, hey, I'm sorry, but I'm going to go to flight attendant training. They're like, oh, okay, good luck. And now I'm back working at the airport again. So, and I love it there. But so that's how I ended up like, yeah, just like everything started falling in place in my life. Like I can actually do this. But, it got difficult. We'll get into that. But I do remember though, like us taking a shuttle every day.
Yeah,
we were taking the shuttle every day.
The shuttle from the
hotel to the training
school,
center,
to the airport training center.
Yeah. And
I forgot about that.
I don't think we actually met for a week or two. At least I know at least a week or two, because I had nobody to talk to tell what was going on, because there's so much drama that was going on. And remember, Jennifer, they said, if you come here and you just keep your head down and you do what you need to do, you'll not get in trouble, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's exactly what I did. Kept my head down, and it still found me. The
trouble still found its way to you.
Exactly.
Girl. It was a hot mess.
And thank God I found Jennifer, because I was like suffering in silence. I was like, oh my God, it was my roommate, Jennifer knows all about her. So I'll just give you guys a little lowdown. That way you'll know why I appreciated meeting Jennifer so much. Well, basically my roommate, I knew her from our job interview together down in Charlotte for the airlines. And she was so excited to find me, when I got to the hotel, like, oh, you're my roommate. I was like, oh, great. Like, oh, great. I know this person kind of just from, the job interview. And I thought, great. I was disappointed that we all had to share a room. It was 2 to each hotel room. I hate sharing.
I hated that. Oh, I hated that.
Oh, it was awful.
At first, I was by myself, and then I had to go share.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. Yeah, you had it
I was
good.
by myself at first.
Well, I had to share the room with this one girl, and on my phone, I'm not sure if you have the same feature, right? It's the light that goes off right here that for text messages or phone calls, and I turned that on specifically so when Jeremy was texting me, that my phone wouldn't go off and keep her awake or vibrate.
It would flash. It's like a little flash that comes.
But yeah, and I thought that would be good enough to not wake her up. Well, I don't know what she thought I was doing, I guess. But anyway, we're in class, la-di-da, having a good time. And I get called to the principal's office. That's what it felt like. I got called to HR. I was like, what? I was like, I didn't know what it was about. I went up there and they're like telling me that my roommate basically thought I was taking pictures of her in her sleep. I was like, what? I was like, I'm not taking pictures of. He's like, but she was seeing a flash. And I was like, oh my God. And they asked to see my phone too. Like, can we see your phone? See if there's pictures of her on your phone? I'm like, yeah. And then when they told me about the flash, I'm like, oh my God, I got this feature on my phone. And I showed them this one when the HR woman was like, oh my God, I have that same thing on my phone. And I was like, okay, it's just a misunderstanding. Thought everything would be cool. Well, I guess she didn't believe the HR people either. Because then, about a week later, I got called again to the principal's office. I was like, what is going on?
All the while, your nose was down. You were minding your business.
Yep.
Exactly what
being
they
friendly, being nice to everybody,
Yeah.
Yeah, I get called up there, and they're like, Karyl, did you say, that tastes good? I was like, what? They said, yeah, in class. Did you say that? I'm like, what? No, probably not. They're like, when so-and-so was passing out candy, this young boy, almost old enough to be my son at that time. But anyway, he was passing out Halloween candy that our instructor told him to. And I said, oh, well, I probably did say that. I probably put some candy in my mouth. Like, that's good. Like, who doesn't say that? That's good. Now, I doubt if I said, that's good. I don't say, no, that's not me at all.
Right.
And I said, and I told her that. And they were like, well, such and such said that she heard you say that. I'm like, oh my God, my roommate. I'm like, are you kidding me? It was just like one thing after the other. This girl was wanting to get me kicked out of training for some reason. I told them, I was like, you said if I come here and keep my head down and do what I need to do, there would be no trouble. I'm like, you guys said that. That's what I'm doing. And here it is. Like, I can't get away from it. And I was already going through some personal issues anyway, at home, so I was already stressed about leaving the house, especially as long as we were gone. So this was following me. So I was already stressed, and this was following me. I felt like I was just about to die, and I just kept getting called up to HR. And finally, they're like, Karyl, we're going to give you your own room. I was like, no, I'm not asking for that. I'm like, they asked me if I could still be in the classroom with her. And I said, yeah, but I don't want her beside of me because she is looking for something. But I said, no, I can still do class with her and everything. I'm like, I'm not asking to get a room. Because remember, they said if you request your own room because you don't like your roommate, they're sending you home. So I was afraid maybe that was a test. They said, no, Karyl, you've already been through enough. We're going to give you your own room. So on the shuttle, when I met Jennifer, it was just a blessing in disguise because I was like, I had nobody because they asked us to not talk to anybody about anything, So, I mean, going on within the job. So. But yeah, we were on the shuttle, and somebody brought up The Office.
And I don't know who it was, but I know that I probably lit up.
I wonder if it was like Haley. Maybe Haley brought it up, or
I could see her bringing that up.
Yeah,
yeah.
It might have been her.
My eyes lit up because I'm not a TV watcher, so I don't watch a lot of TV shows, and I honestly didn't start watching that show, The Office, until after it was off the air for so many years. I found it late.
I
So
did
the fact
too.
that
I think, yeah, I found it too like a season or two before it went off the air. Because at first, when I first started
oh,
watching, I'm
okay.
like, I don't like this crap. But then I went back and watched it. I was like, oh my God, I love this. This is great.
Yeah, it's funny. It's
And then
awkwardly funny. It makes you uncomfortable.
and I think it was you or someone said they were talking about what was the safety with the fire drill episode. You know the
The
episode.
fire drill episode and the safety. Yeah, they were both in the same episode. It's
And you know the
I know
season and
it's
episode.
it's season 5, episode 14.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
And I was like, oh my God, I love it, episode 2. And it was just like, we just bonded over The Office. Thank you, Office. We got a lot to thank that show for. It really just bonded us.
Yeah.
And then, other things bonded us as well. We found out we had a lot in common. And that's when
One
I
of
was
the
like,
main things that we had in common that really like made me think like this is like a God thing. God put us together. Is that we both had family members that were suffering with mental health issues.
Exactly. Yes.
And like topic of like suicide and all of that came up, and it's like we were able to connect on that front, and we were both stressed out at the same time with that same stuff, and it was just like I'm like, this is totally God. There's no way we could have met in
I
freshman
know.
school, both had the same kind of stuff going on, and like bonded over The Office and all of that. And your personality is just amazing, and I just loved you right when I heard you talk.
I know. I was
loved your
telling
accent.
everybody
Your
how.
accent. I was like,
Oh, Lord.
this is her accent. I love it.
My accent.
I love it. I love it.
Well, it's here to
Yeah.
stay. I try to get rid of it. I can't. It's here.
I'm glad. Good.
I sound
Keep
more
it.
ridiculous when I'm trying to correct my accent. I'm like, nah, just there.
Here's
to stay.
Here's what the audience thinks about your accent. Yes. So we're gonna keep
I
that.
love that. That clapping's so funny. Oh my God. But yeah, what we were talking about. I'll try things that we were going through. Yeah, it was really like meant to be. We were going through, and I would have never thought you were going through anything because you're always so joyful, smiling, like. And then we just started connecting and sharing stuff. I'm like, I can tell this
Yeah.
girl things, and I really felt a real connection. It's hard to find a friend where you can like really spill things to, and
Confidentially,
they'll
and
know.
not like come back from
Right.
somebody
And
else.
they'll know
knowing
what you're
about it.
going
Yeah.
through too, like you
Right.
knew what I was going through. And it's hard to
Right.
connect with people if you don't have same experiences sometimes. So that
So
was,
we
yeah.
connected on those fronts, and then also I remember like back then, remember my hair was really short, and I had
Yeah.
to literally get it done every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I like didn't have a hairstylist, so I had to find a hairstylist. I asked another black lady that I saw in the hall or something, where do you get your hair done around here? Because we were in Ohio, and she gave me a name of someone, and I got an appointment. I'm like, gosh, dang, now I need a ride, and thank God, good old Carol. She had driven to.
I
you
took
drove
mine.
to training.
Yes.
So she
yes.
had a
It was
car,
not that
and
far.
She was so kind. And you took me to get my hair done all the
I
times that I
was
needed
like, here's
to.
my keys. Take it if you want, I even let you take it
Did
to
I drive
church,
one
didn't I?
time too? I probably
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I
You
think
go,
you
yeah,
let me
because you
take the
gave
car
me
a couple times
gave me
too.
gas money. I'm like, you don't have to give me gas money.
My mama raised me right, girl.
I was like,
I know
no,
how to
you
do
would.
things.
And then I let it come up. I let other people borrow my car too that I trusted. So I'm a generous person.
Yeah.
I like sharing. If I have something somebody needs, I share it. I'm a very sharing person. I like to share. I like to give more than receiving. So that's me.
That blessed me a lot, so I appreciate.
Yeah, it does really come
for
back
that.
to you. I do think it comes back to you when you do those kind of things.
I do too. Absolutely.
Drinking my water. My water. Gotta hydrate.
But I think like I think part of the reason why we are good friends too is we both have like joyful spirits, and we both love to laugh and find the comedy in any
Oh, I
and everything that we
know.
can. And we're both kind. I think our nature is just genuinely kind, and we genuinely just like to help people and be a blessing to others. And I think because we're just so much alike in those areas that like it made us bond really fast and become really fast friends. We
Yeah,
had a
I
blast
agree.
in training.
Oh, training was so much fun. But man, who would have thought you'd have to study as much as we did? I was so stressed out.
I
Like I
was
remember
too.
barely being able to talk to Jeremy. I'm like, Jeremy, I got to study, got to study. I'd make my little index note cards and like I got to pass this
Girl,
test because you can't fail
flashcards.
any. Yeah, flashcards. Yeah,
I had remember the airport codes. I was so worried about remembering the airport codes. We didn't even really need the airport
I
codes. I'm
know
like,
that.
what?
Remember they told us we had to memorize those before we went to training,
Yes.
and it was like on the
And
test
then when we
once, a
got to
couple
training,
of
they're like,
them.
"Oh, you can read it." Like the safety thing. They said you had to memorize it on all that stuff they sent us. Then when
Yeah.
we got to training, they're like, "Oh, you can just read it." I'm like,
Oh
"Really?
my
You guys said we
god.
had to memorize it."
I know. And then
They
you
were
get there
stressing
and
us
it's
out
like
for nothing.
training was not what I thought it was going to be. It was so much book work, studying. Like you didn't even really learn really what to do on the airplane at all until after you graduated. Then you had to go to what was it? Get your what's that called? I'm going blank.
You had to
When you
go
had to do
fly with a
training.
check flight attendant, and
Yeah.
then they had to like
Yeah.
give you
Then
your. You had to
then
earn your
you get your
wings.
wings. So you're not really a flight
Yeah.
attendant when you graduate flight attendant school. You have to go through another thing and earn your
Right.
wings, which I have the video of me getting my wings. Do you have the video? Did anybody take a video of you?
I have pictures. I have the pictures
Okay.
of
I
the
have a
crew that was with
video.
me when I got my wings.
Yeah, I think one of the flight attendants was taking the video. Like they were surprising me. They announced it to everybody on the
Aw.
plane. I was like, oh my
Yeah.
God. I just felt so happy,
Me
happy, and
too.
proud of myself because that training was so hard. That
Do you
training
know what the
was
hardest part of the training was
hard.
for me? Remember all those different airplanes and the different ones had the equipment in the different places? I'm like, well, whose idea was it to put this equipment in all these different places? And we had to memorize exactly where everything was in the plane. And we had to like have diagrams of these planes on the test and like
Yeah,
type right out where it was. I was so stressed out with that. That was horrible.
I was too. But once
I
we
have
started working
PTSD
on the
from that.
planes, well, once we started working on the planes, it's like, oh, this is not like how I thought it was going to
It
be.
was
I thought I would never find anything on the plane, but yeah. But once we
it was
went on the
fine.
plane during training once to see where things were, I kind of had a little bit of an understanding. But then you got to find out, yeah, like all these different planes have different places for their safety stuff. So then you got to remember
Right.
where you can put your luggage when you take it on the
Right.
plane, stuff like that. I don't know. But yeah, I felt like training, it gave us a lot of knowledge about the planes, safety, like instructions, I guess, but yeah, really how to work on it. No. Like they don't teach you how to give out soda and pretzels in training. No. They don't teach you how to make drinks in training. No. You learn
Nope.
that when you're trying to get your wings. So it's not like it takes
Exactly.
a mad scientist or whatever to do that, but really you're going and you're like, what am I supposed to do now? Like they didn't show us how to
Right.
do this or even how to like bid for your schedule. Like they
Yeah,
no,
how to do all those things. Like, yeah, I
yeah,
never figured
there's
that out
it's
very
so
well. Yeah.
complex. It's so and then once you think you got it figured out how to do your schedule, you don't. You don't, especially if you're a low man on the totem pole and you got the senior flight attendants up here who know all the loopholes
Right.
and flight attendants
And
who
then
got
when
the
you figure out how
lines.
you're getting paid, like you don't realize you're not getting paid unless the plane door is closed and you're like
Right,
moving and
right.
in the air. Like that's when you get paid. And other than that, when people are boarding, when they're deplaning, and when you're sitting at the airport in
You're
between
not getting
all of your
paid
different flights,
nothing.
and when you're yeah, nothing. Getting ready in the morning to
Nothing.
get to the airport at 2:30 in the morning, zero. Not till the airplane
Exactly.
door closes. So it's like
Exactly.
I'm like, how do people make money doing this? Like
Exactly.
I could never make it work.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, it'd be hard.
It
I
is
don't know
hard.
how single people do it unless they're I don't know have no bills or have roommates or you're making it work, but the stress that comes with it is not it's not worth the
Yeah.
money. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know
I
when I
would have
would get
still.
most stressed is when like I would have to be like the forward flight attendant, which is the
I
one that's
love
at the front of
that.
the plane. I didn't because I'm not a
I
drinker,
did.
so I didn't know how to make
Oh,
any of the drinks. And so I was stressed out. I remember one time I was having to make a drink for a Bloody Mary, and I went over to the man and I asked him what was in the Bloody Mary, and he told me because I couldn't remember and I was stressed out. I'm like, "Thank you," and then I went back and I quick made it. I'm like, I don't like this forward flight attendant thing. I eventually got it, but it was hard for
I
me.
loved it. I don't know why I liked it. I did. I didn't mind working in the back either. That never bothered me. But I really liked working in first class. I felt like you stayed a little bit busier, because you're
Mm.
waiting on everybody. But
But do you remember having to
yeah,
look for the roller bags as they came on? Because the airline that we
yeah,
worked for, you weren't allowed to bring any like roller bags, any
nope,
bags with wheels. They had to be under the plane,
nope,
and so
yep.
we had to like have a keen eye out when people were boarding to see if they accidentally snuck a
And
roller
some of them
bag
get
on.
mad, like they wouldn't want to valet their bags. Yeah, I remember this one lady had a Louis
Yeah,
Vuitton and a roller bag, and she was flipping out on me. I'm like, understand, I understand how expensive it is. I'm like, but I can't let you on it on the plane with it because we can get fined. Remember, we can get in trouble.
exactly.
Yeah, big trouble. Like it's not
And
my
mine was
rules.
a first class person too. A first class passenger gave me trouble one time with a roller bag. So much trouble that the pilot had
Oh
the
yeah, they'll step
captain
out. Yeah,
had to
yeah,
come out and tell that man, no, she's right. You do have to check this bag. It cannot be on the plane. And then
yeah,
he finally listened. He wouldn't listen
yeah,
to me though. So,
yeah. I always like,
but that was
and
the
that's
only trouble I ever had on the plane.
yeah.
I
I
never had
never.
any other issues.
I other than thinking we were going to crash, I didn't have any problems either.
You had the most dramatic experience
I was what
ever.
I was very very new. I gotta tell a story really quick. I can laugh about it now. Sometimes I still tear up when I think about it. But I was a fairly new flight attendant, and the other flight attendant that was with me was newer than me, like fresh out of training, and she was working. I can't remember forward or aft. I can't remember. But anyway, I saw those. Like the lights, the chimes, and the lights was going off. I was like, oh my God, that is not what I think
Mm-hmm.
it is. Because, that was just drilled in us and flight attendant school. Like, this means that, this sound means that, and the lights mean this. And I was like, that is not what I think it is. Yeah, it was. Yeah, she was in the forward. She called me. She's like, Carol. I was like, what? She's like, the captain called. He said that we're having a problem with the plane, and we're not yet sure if we're going to make it to the airport. He doesn't know if where we're going to land, basically. And I was like, what? She's like, yeah, he's told
Basically, an
us
emergency
we
landing.
have
Yeah.
emergency landing. She's like,
Oh
so
my
we,
gosh.
yeah. And what happened was it's kind of like cruise control on a plane. Like, so sometimes the pilots aren't even really flying the plane. They're sitting there. So it's really eerie to see. But the first officer heard something clicking or something that didn't sound right, and he realized that type of cruise control is the only thing I know how to compare it to is it was taking them off course. And sometimes when planes crash, it's because something like that happens. It takes them off course, and they don't have enough fuel to make it anywhere to land. So I was like, so that's all we knew. That's it. Just like we don't know if we're going to make it. And I was just like, oh my God. So we had to get up and do get everybody ready for a crash landing, basically.
So
Yeah,
wait,
it
before
was
you tell
scary.
about that, remember this is okay. So this is one of the things that we had to do in flight attendant school. We had to actually evacuate a plane, actually scream
Oh
out the
God.
commands,
And
act
it's
like you're in like an
stressful.
actual plane,
You got
and
to
you have to like
scream,
scream
yeah.
out the commands, say the certain things in a certain way, do things in a certain order, blah blah. So I asked Carol. I said, okay, so when that happened to you, you had to do the emergency landing. Did you follow all the right rules? And what happened, Carol? What did you do?
I didn't. I took the papers out of our binder. You're supposed to, right? I could
Yeah.
not see the words. All I saw was letters. Just I couldn't focus, but I was trying to remain calm. Obviously, I was trying to be real calm.
Yeah.
So I just basically still remembered from flight attendant school the gist of what we're supposed to say, basically. So I kind of ad libbed a lot of it. So,
Yeah.
and I was just like trying to keep myself calm, and the passengers are like, I could see like in their eyes they were like freaking out, and I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
like calm, kind of like that. Was that one skit I sent you? What was it from Saturday Night Live? The flight attendants are being like really calm, and they're preparing for some kind of thing that's getting ready to happen. But yeah, I couldn't read the words, so but I got them like briefed and everything, and I went to the other flight attendant, and we were like. saying, I hope to see you on the ground, And then when I went back to my seat, I know we're not supposed to have our cell phones out. By duck, I got my cell phone and I was texting my husband and my kids like, I love you guys so much. Don't know if we're making it to the airport or not, but just wanted you to know that I'm thinking of you guys. And then I put my phone away. And then
Oh my gosh.
I'm looking out the window like, okay, we're going to land in the water in the trees, just waiting, 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 waiting. Like, and then finally I saw a runway. I was like, okay, okay. I was like, we made it to the airport. So maybe at the very worst that's going to happen is that we have a, crash landing and the fire department and everybody was up and down the runway waiting on us. I'm like, okay, so they're going to like put us out probably if we catch fire. At least there's hope. They didn't have to do that. It ended up just being a really, really rough landing because they had to fight with the plane the entire time because that plane wanted to go one direction, but they needed to go to another. So it
Mhm.
was nuts, and I was just so scared. And then when we landed, I could just everybody was clapping. You could see the passengers were so relieved, and they were all looking back at me, like we made it. It was like the scariest thing, but
Mhm.
I didn't it didn't keep me from wanting to fly again, even though I thought I was going to die. That fear, that impending doom. You're waiting
Mhm.
to die, basically, or see if you're going to die. So you're just like, okay. And I was like, if I'm going to die, okay, I've had a good life. So, awesome. So at least I had a good life.
Wow. I
But
can't believe you. No, but you know what I can't believe happened to you guys after that? Where they did whatever they did to fix the plane and then they made you guys fly that same plane empty with no passengers but the same crew fly that plane back to its next location. I'm like, y'all could have got somebody else to do that. That wasn't cool.
they did give us an option. And me and the other flight attendant thought about leaving, but I was like, no, they should probably put us on another plane with a crew that we don't know. At least I know this crew, our captain and first officer knew what the crap they were doing, and it saved our lives. It saved our lives. It really did. So
So
I'm
you're like,
like,
let
I
me stick with
trusted
them
them.
and
Yeah,
whatever they're
I
doing,
trusted
I'm
them.
going to stay with them.
And I was worried about the
Yeah.
plane, but not worried about them. But yeah, we
Wow.
I got pictures of the other flight attendant. We were both sitting in first class, and she just looked like still decompressing. And as soon as we landed and got the passengers deboarded or deplaned, all of our phones were just going off. American was calling us
Yeah.
trying to make sure like we were okay, and I probably shouldn't have
Oh
said that,
wow.
but yeah, they were all calling, making sure we're okay. I mean, everyone. And then finally, I guess my text did get sent to Jeremy, but he was sleeping, I think, and he got him and was making sure everything was okay. So, but yeah, they were like, just as soon as we got the passengers off the plane, it's like, ding, 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 everybody's phones. So they were quick to make sure we're okay. But yeah, they did give us an option to fly or
Wow.
not. I was like, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so they didn't make you do it. I thought they
No,
kind of
they
made
didn't.
you.
No,
I'm like,
no, they
oh.
didn't. I was thinking about like just going on home, but I was afraid too. Like if I said I didn't want to fly on that plane, that maybe they'd put me on a different trip. And they probably wouldn't have,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't know. So new
Yeah.
and all. But yeah, I'm
So
not.
that was like your
Just,
most dramatic thing that happened to you
yeah,
as a flight attendant,
yeah. I
right?
had like really drunk people come on the plane, and I have to get them back off. But this one guy, he was so out of it when he got on the plane. His ticket was like this, like crumpled up, and he was looking, and he couldn't read it, and he couldn't see the numbers of the seats. And I was like, and the thing is, the gate agent gave me warning about this guy. Said that he was in the bar drinking all morning because he's supposed to have went to Hawaii, but where COVID and everything was happening, he didn't have the shots, I guess. So he had to go. I think he was going down to Miami. And so he was like depressed, I guess, and was drinking all day. So by the time he got to us, he just did not know where he was at. It was so dangerous. But he didn't get mad at me, though, at
Mm,
all. I think he was just so out
that's
of
good.
it. Like, yeah. So, because it could have been bad if he stayed on that plane, the altitude. Because I wouldn't been giving him any more alcohol, but the altitude with the alcohol already in his system would have probably been bad. But then if you get him to the airport where he's supposed to go, like he wouldn't know where to go. He's so drunk. Like it'd be so dangerous, and I didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
be held
Yeah.
accountable for anything like that. Then I had this one
Yeah.
lady who I thought was dead in the seat. She was so drunk and she was fine. I was talking to her. She asked for a Chardonnay. I said, sure. She seemed normal, sober. And I gave her Chardonnay. Next thing I knew, I was walking to the back of the plane. She was like slumped over. I was shaking her, trying to wake her up, and I had other passengers trying to help me. I had the other flight attendant come and help. She wasn't waking up. I'm like, oh my God. Like, is she dead? But she had a pulse. But I'm like, oh my God. Like, can't wake her up. I can't wake her up. So I had to call the captain. I had medical people and emergency
Mm-hmm.
crew there waiting when we landed to get her
Mm-hmm.
off. It was scary. I was like,
Wow.
she must have been drinking right before she got on the plane for it to hit so fast. But no,
So you
I've
had all the
honestly,
drunks, and then I had all the
oh my gosh.
minors, and I had disabled people. Like
Oh,
I was flying one time with a flight attendant who had been a flight attendant for 30 years. She had never in her 30 years of flying had to use the wheelchair. We have a wheelchair on board on the aircraft, for those of you that don't know. And so this one lady, apparently who couldn't walk, she needed to use the bathroom on our hour and 15-minute flight. So I look at the 30-year flight attendant for advice because I don't know how to use a wheelchair. I've never done it. She tells me I've never had to pull out the wheelchair in 30 years of flying. I'm like, okay. So we had to figure out how to pull the wheelchair out, open it up, and we haven't done it since training. She probably hadn't done it since 30 years ago training. And I just got through it. So yeah. So we were trying to
and you
figure out
said
how to
she's
open up the
older
wheelchair.
too.
We opened it up. She's way older than me. Yeah, like 20 years older. We finally figured it out, got the lady in the wheelchair, wheeled her down the aisle to the bathroom, got her into the bathroom, got her back into the chair and back to the seat, obviously in time to land, thank God, but that was a nightmare. And then the only other thing that happened to me was we had to land. We were trying to go to Florida, and we were everything was fine until we got there. And then when we were going down to make our landing, they couldn't land. It was too windy, or the conditions were horrible,
I
and we
remember you
couldn't land.
telling
We
me
literally had
this.
to pull back up and
You
turn back
telling me
around and
that.
go back to the airport that we came from. And people were flying there to go to weddings, to go to funerals, and we were at 2 o'clock in the morning. We're back at the airport we started at, and it was like a walk of shame. The crew having to walk by all those passengers waiting in line to rebook their flights. It was a
Yeah.
nightmare.
Oh my God. I
It was
remember
such a
you like
nightmare.
so stressed out over that. I remember you telling me about that. Oh my
And
God.
some of the passengers that were like savvy flyers, like they could tell that we were going back up and that we were turning. And they're like, "Why are we turning?" I'm like, "Oh my God." I was trying to have a good straight face because I could tell we were turning too, and I didn't know what was going on because you can't talk to the pilots during this situation. You just have to be. You're just back there, kind of like until they call
Yeah,
you and tell you what's going on. You don't know,
yeah.
so we
Yeah.
had no idea. We just had to fake it. So we just faked it. I faked it. Like I acted like everything was okay. I kept a straight face and said everything's fine. And I knew we turned too. I'm like, shoot, I knew we turned too. I don't know.
I don't
I
know.
was
Why are you
praying.
asking
I'll tell
me?
you that.
I'm just a flight attendant. Or I love
I
it
was
when
probably
like
the
we
forward flight attendant, unfortunately, who had to be in charge.
I
But
always loved it. Did
yeah,
you ever anybody ever say like, I'm not going to be able to make it to my connecting flight? Is there any way you can call ahead? And I'm like,
no one
no.
ever asked me that.
How
No.
am I going to call the airport?
Right.
Our phones
Yeah,
only
let me just
work
get this.
back and forth to us, you know,
Right. Right.
in the cockpit. But yeah, your phones don't work up, you know. But yeah, like who
Right.
would you call anyway? Like who would you call?
If someone
I've
asked
had
me, I'd be like, you better call Jesus because I ain't got nothing for you, sir, ma'am. And as soon as those doors open, I'm not getting paid either. So you
That's
really don't get
right.
me
Good
doing
luck.
nothing after that.
Good luck. Yeah. That's so true. Oh my God. I'd love some of the questions like what was that one meme I sent you? One of the passengers was asking the flight attendant like how often do planes crash? And she said once. Just once. You get such twisted humor when you work on the plane.
Yeah.
Or you get
Yeah.
excited when they say you can't do service. So all you got to do is just sit there on
Oh
the
yeah. You
plane.
can't serve
I'm like,
drinks. Oh, I was so
yes.
excited for
Thank you.
that.
Turbulence.
Yeah. Too much turbulence. The pilot said we have to stay seated. Sorry.
But not sorry. I
Right.
love it.
Right.
I love it. But
I
I mean,
love that.
turbulence is a big thing just for people who don't understand why you have seatbelts on. I always wondered that too. Why are you freaking wearing a seatbelt on an airplane if you're crashing? I mean, good luck, right?
Right. Oh my gosh. You
Turbulence.
know what happened to me? You know what happened to me one
Turbulence.
time? When I was a forward flight attendant, I just remembered this. Okay, you remember all those carts that we had to have locked in certain positions? Like
Oh
you
yeah,
had to make sure all the things were locked before you took off. Well, guess what happened to me one time? I was a
I
Florida
bet-
flight attendant, and one of the freaking carts, I forgot to lock it, so it's like rolling out, and I'm like, oh my god! I had a skirt on.
come back.
I had a skirt on.
Oh,
I stretched my leg out, and I held that thing in its little place until I
and
could
everybody's seeing you because you're everybody can see where you're
Girl,
sitting. There's
I was
no
so
hiding.
scared. I'm like, I'm about to get fired because this cart's gonna roll out and hit somebody. But I did.
I've
My long legs came saved the day. I held it
I've done
until I
that.
could
I've
get up.
done that before. Like, oh God,
Oh,
like it's rolling out.
that was
It's
like
rolling
my
out.
worst fear, and that came true. And ever since
Mm.
then, I was so careful with making sure all the things
One of
were
mine's the
closed.
coffee pot. Like maybe forgetting to empty the coffee pot. What if it flies out hot coffee? But at least there's a wall kind of in front of it. So like if it flew out, it'd have to
Yeah,
curve around the wall and hit somebody. But still, like, yeah,
yeah,
I messed up a few times. Lock it, lock it, lock it, lock it, lock it, lock it. But
yeah,
but nothing major. When it came to safety, though, I was very by the book when it came to safety.
yeah.
You
So
know,
was I.
so forgetting to lock a car in every now and then. I think everybody does that. But I
And
enjoyed
they
the
just don't
job.
talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I really,
I don't think I ever got to enjoy it like I wanted to because I think I was always so stressed out. I was always so
yeah,
worried about the safety pieces of it more than
mm-hmm,
anything. And
yeah,
like saying the certain things we had to say when we took off and when we landed to make sure we were prepared in case there was an emergency that we had to act, and always paying attention to all the passengers and watching everybody, make sure no one's
mm-hmm.
passing out, no one's dying, everybody's okay, no one's trying to open up the emergency exit, no one's trying to get into the where the pilots are and all that. So yeah, it was a
Oh
lot.
God, I enjoyed it. Until the commuting just was so hard. If I lived next by a hub, like Atlanta or somewhere, it wouldn't have been hard. I have a friend who she retired from Delta, and she lived near the Atlanta airport, so it was much easier for her, different experience for her. But when you don't live near a hub, you have to get to your hub to report to work. So, like, I would have to go
Right.
to Lexington, Bluegrass Airport, jump on the plane there, and my last hub was Charlotte. Go to Charlotte, but I'd have to wake up like 3:30 or 4 in the morning to go to Lexington to catch the plane to get to Charlotte to only
Right.
report around 11 or 12 that day. So you're already like up for hours, and then you still have your full
Not getting
day
paid. Not
and
getting
not getting
paid.
paid and not getting paid. Yeah. Yeah. And you
We
got to
did get a per
hope you get on
diem
the
or whatever,
plane.
but it
Yeah.
wasn't
But
nothing.
then you also hope to get on the plane too. Because, when
Right. Because you're
you're
standby,
not
basically.
deadheading. Yeah. You're standby. Yeah. So you got to hope. It was just so
Yeah.
stressful. And then trying to get home, it's the same deal. Trying to get from Charlotte.
Yeah.
I was based in Charlotte, Philly, Dayton, Cincinnati in that short period of time, man. Cincinnati, I wish
Yeah.
worked
I was
out.
Philly, Dayton, and Cincinnati.
God, I really like going to
I
Cincinnati.
had crash pads in all three of those cities
Oh,
because of
no.
the fact that I couldn't always get flights out. Yeah, I had to get a crash pad, which
Oh,
is a place
God.
where you go and you sleep. When you can't get a
See,
flight home to get back home, you sleep there, and then the next day you fly home.
right. And my
So,
thing is, if we had to do a crash pad, if we were still doing, I would get one with you. And maybe somebody I know really well. I could not have a crash pad with strangers. I can't do that.
oh,
I'm
I
like, I
was doing
can't.
that. I had
I
there
just,
was like 8 people that lived in the house I was in Cincinnati.
then you have somebody like
It was
steal
a
your
lot.
shoes. Use your.
I don't remember. I couldn't find
You said you were
something.
looking for your
Yeah.
shoes, and one of the other people wore them because you came back and there they were. Somebody wore them.
Yeah.
I'm
It was
like,
horrible. It
man,
was
I'd have to
horrible. And
smack
they were not clean
somebody.
either. They were dirty, these people. They just, yeah, no home training. And they used to
Oh,
take the alcohol off the plane. When I got to one of my crash pads in
too.
Cincinnati, they had all the alcohol bottles. Like they had taken them from the plane. I'm like, oh
They're
my gosh,
braver than me. They're braver
too
than me.
much,
Oh my
too
God.
much.
Nope, nope,
Yeah,
nope, nope, nope. It's
but
not worth that. I mean, come on. Well, you know what? I guess you don't get paid a lot. Maybe they couldn't go buy
maybe
a
that's
bottle themselves. And after sometimes a
right.
trip, you're like, oh God, I need a drink. At the end of
Yeah,
your trip, you're like, oh, that's 3 or 4 days. Fine, I'm done.
yeah.
But no, no, I never understood that. I mean, some of them would just openly, ooh, I'm like, mm, take dishes. I'm like, they say American Airlines on the bottom. I'm like,
Yeah,
why?
yeah.
Why? This one girl's
I
like, do
know.
you mind if I take
Trying
this?
to
I'm
get a
like,
complete set.
yeah, she wanted her complete set. I was like, that says American Airlines. I'm like, why?
Whatever.
I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not telling you you can, so I'm going to go back
Right.
here. I'm not going to get
Right.
in trouble. I might get fired over taking a little bottle of alcohol or a plate. No, I'm not. No, I like my job too much for that.
Sorry. We're gonna be playing with this stuff forever. Like this is so cool. I love all this
Let me
clapping
just
and
see.
cheering and
Yeah, it's right. I was trying to find it. There it is. Yeah, clapping. This is. Yeah, I got to do it now. Woo! That's loud. Woo!
yeah, this.
That's loud. But then it just got. Then I ended up getting a double ear infection, fluid on my ears when I flew up to Michigan. My head was just killing me. And I was telling that I flight attendant, I'm like, I can't do service. My head, I feel like my head's going to explode. It was killing me. And so when we got to, I think it was Flint, Michigan. I think it was Flint.
Mm-hmm.
We got there and I went to the ER. And I remembered I wasn't feeling well and I had a temperature. They asked me, this is like peak COVID when hardly anybody's still on the planes, And no, no, no. Yeah, it's still peak. And so I went to the urgent care and they asked me if I had a fever. I said yes, and they never thought about testing me for COVID or anything. Just and I was like, I'm surprised they didn't test me. But I did
Right.
have an ear infection. They probably thought that's all it was. Didn't no need to test because I know the tests were kind of hard to get too. Around that time. But so Jeremy, I wasn't allowed to get back on the plane. I was like, so I couldn't finish my trip. So it's either rent a car or Jeremy come get me because I wasn't allowed on a plane. So Jeremy drove all the way up there. I was like, come. I was like, yeah, you can come on up if you want. You don't have to. I'm like, it's a long drive. So, but he did. He came up
And
that
I
night. I was
obviously
like,
wasn't home because I live in Michigan. I'm only like an hour and
yeah.
40 minutes from Flint.
Oh
I
shoot,
obviously
man.
probably was on a trip myself, so
Yeah,
I
exactly.
couldn't come get you.
Oh, well, Jeremy was so sweet. He came up there. I was like, we got a hotel free for the night, courtesy of the airport. Because I was on a trip.
Yeah.
So he came
Yeah.
up. We stayed the night. We came back home, and then on the way home, I took a nap. But then when I woke up, I felt like I was hit by a truck. Like my voice, I couldn't hardly talk. Everything just went downhill. And when I got home, I was pouring the sweat. And I was even showing Jeremy, like showing him my stomach. He's like, I've never seen anybody sweat like that. He's like, it's rolling off of you. I'm like, I know. And then the next morning, my grandson had a soccer game. And I'm like, should I go? Because I'm sick. I'm like, well, we're going to be outside. And then we passed a skunk that was killed on the side of the road. And Jeremy's like, oh my God, it stunk. I'm like, what? He's like, that skunk. I was like, I didn't smell anything. And it hit me. I was like, oh my God, I don't have a sense of smell. And I had a fever. And why didn't
Mm-hmm.
urgent care take care of me? Like, why did they not test me? And then, so I had to go through, what was it, a drive through or something back to do a test.
Oh, drive
You
through
remember
COVID
back?
testing? Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I had the Delta variant. I mean, it took me months to get over it. It would kick my butt. And I already had the shots. So, and I was really bad off. I'm like, maybe the shots kept me from getting worse. I don't know. But then I ended up getting COVID too. So it was just like in between commuting, getting sick. I got sick a lot, on the plane, sinus problems. So if you have bad sinuses, don't be a flight attendant, that's for sure. But,
Right. Gosh, I dipped
but
out before COVID really got full force. Like I went on like
Well, they
leave.
laid us
I didn't even
off,
look.
remember?
Where they allowed us, they allowed me, at the
They did
time when I
allow us to come
stopped
back.
flying, they allowed me to take a leave, and I took a leave,
Oh,
and
I did
then they asked me
too.
to come back in December, but I didn't go back. I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
was like,
nah, I'm
well,
good.
remember, we didn't know what COVID was. We're like, seeing all these dead
Right.
bodies in New York and you're flying, you're like, oh my God. And there's like really nobody on the planes. Like, I remember we flew from Milwaukee once and there was only one person that was boarding the plane and we put him in first class. We're like, you got the entire plane to yourself. You got a private jet today. Like,
Yeah.
you can have anything
I
you
had a
want
flight. I
in
think I
first
had like
class.
3 people on it, and we moved everybody to first class and let them have whatever they wanted.
Oh,
Yeah.
whenever I worked first class and we had empty seats, I would move people to first class. I'm like, you can come on up here. You can come first class. This one old lady was like crying. This old lady, she was so old and so cute. She was crying. She's like, I'd never flown first class before, and it just like made her day.
Aw.
I just treat her and
Yeah.
she. But so funny because sometimes when I'd move people in first class, they were like, oh, he's afraid to ask for something to drink or eat. I'm like, the alcohol's free up here. Get first class snacks. But they were always, especially military. If you moved in first class, they're like, no, I'm good. Of course, they can't have alcohol if they're in uniform, but especially the boys fresh out of boot camp or girls too, they're just always yes ma'am, no ma'am,
Mm-hmm.
afraid to smile, because in boot camp, I guess
Yeah.
you don't smile a lot. But now
Yeah.
I really did really, really enjoy the job, and I technically am still employed. And so every now and then I play around with the idea of going back because I'm still technically on medical. And so I don't know. It's still in my mind, but I really like my new job at the airport. It's just, I do absolutely nothing. It's incredible. I sit and spin in a chair all day, take selfies, starting work on this
Meet
podcast a little bit
celebrities.
there. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. Well, one anyway. He's a sweet guy. But I'm trying to think. But yeah, I really like my job. And then if I get bored, I get up and I go walk. I walk around the conference room table sometimes or walk through the area. If I'm in heels, I go to conference room table and I walk. I walk at least a couple of miles, throughout the day and while I'm at work. Or if I'm wearing flats, I'll go walk through the airport. So I get like two
Mm-hmm.
15-minute breaks, a 30-minute lunch. So I'll break it all up just to go walk. Because I'm like, I don't want to sit down and like eat or watch my phone when I've
Yeah.
already been sitting for hours. So, and I really love my job. That I have the nicest coworkers ever.
Hello. As you can see, my hair is different. We did have some technical difficulties with like the last 10 minutes of what we recorded previously. So we are coming back live to do it again. So
Yeah,
I
we
think
have
we
no
left
clue what
off with you
happened.
talking about your
Yeah,
job and how you
yeah,
like the people that you worked with and
yeah. I like my job. I like the people that I work with. It makes a difference if you like the people you work with. Because I used to have a job where I would sit out in the parking lot and I would dread going in. I'd have to just like talk myself down. It was like really difficult. Now I actually really enjoy going to work.
oh, that's good. Yeah, it's really
Yeah,
important
yeah,
to like the people
yes,
that you work with. It makes or breaks your day. They help you survive and
yes,
get through the day. Yeah.
exactly.
But
Especially since I basically worked by myself and I kind of like myself okay. So,
kind of just conversate with yourself, have a conversation with yourself.
exactly.
Y'all get along good. That's good.
Yes. Did
But
you
this
ever
was a
have a job
fun
that you?
podcast.
Oh, it was. It was absolutely a fun
This first one.
podcast. Yeah, I had it. It
And I
was
think
just
it's
a
going to get
hoot.
better as we go. It's just this is our first one, so we can't expect it to be perfect. And things will, it'll get better as we go, and we'll figure all these little technical things out.
Exactly, because
And
we're doing it ourselves. We're not paying anybody to produce it or anything. We're trying it ourselves and at least see how it goes. We might need
right,
professional
I think
help
we did a
later.
great job.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
but for this
cool.
one, we'll be a comedy show for someone, maybe. I don't know, but
Exactly.
we did it, and I'm proud of us for doing it. And I think there's just nowhere to go but up from here. We're doing
That's
great.
right.
So
I agree. Alrighty, I guess until next time, we'll see you guys.
until next time, see ya. Peace.
Peace out. Okay, that was good. That was good. Okay.